Okay, so we have some evolution, some new one. We've got put it on a plate. Delivery driver has arrived. Crosses can come from anywhere, so roam the field and pick your spot for the right striker. Forget, I don't even bother reading that. Anyway, ping pass. You get anticipate playstyle plus. You get the whip playstyle plus, and then you get the quick step playstyle plus. Now, what's kind of the downside with this one is the quick step is the last one that you get. So if you already have maybe an evolution that's got 2 already, you can consider maybe involving it just to get the anticipate. You can technically use this on anyone. Why would you want to use it on a striker? I don't know. And the kind of sad thing is you don't really get that. Okay, you get that passing boost, which is kind of important, and the pace boost, but you don't get the shooting boost that much. It's only +3. And to be honest, the physicality, okay, it's a little bit, and you don't really get the defending. So I don't really think this can be even used for a defender unless they got already very good defense. Let's say like, I don't know, Virgil van Dijk. You really wanted to improve, let's say, I don't know, his passing, and maybe you want to improve his pace. That's where I can see this being used a lot more. So you can see with Van der Ven, it might not be useful. Same with Van Dijk, it might not be useful as well. So there's something just to bear in mind. I wouldn't say use it for a strike. I would say this is more of a combination evolution. As I said, the last one you do get is quick step. So unfortunately, you can't even, use a player and save this for a future evolution. Because what I normally do is I normally find someone, let's say, who's got no play styles, right? Let's say someone who's got like a complete blank canvas. Let's say like Mead, for example. And then kind of what I do is I stop at just a quick step. And then let's say quick step was the first play style. I stop it like here. And I use this card into another evolution. But that is one of the downsides. So I would say a very mediocre one. It's free. So can you expect much from a free evolution? It would be nice something to be a bit better at this stage of the game. At least maybe improve the defending or the physicality by like limit up to 80 or something. So you can have a defender with 80 shooting. Something a bit more viable than what we have right now. I just think it's a bit of a shame. Quick reminder, by the way, right back to basics. Is very much expiring very soon. So if you are considering doing it, something on Ranieri, something just to bear in mind. So be very quick about how you go about doing this because it is going to be expiring very soon in 24 hours. I'm definitely going to be using this on Ranieri. And don't forget it's a free evolution as well. The next one we go over to is Legacy of a Lioness. Unlock the versatility to relieve Alex Scott's legacy in this Evo right back. Of course, tailored to bring her best qualities to your squad. Now, interesting, cannot be a centre back, has to be a right back. Composure max overall of 93. Again, max playstyles of 4 though. Interesting. So let's see what we get. So we get the +15 passing and we get the left back position. Okay, so we can play both sides. Perfect. Fullback plus jockey. We get the whip pass, but I don't really want. Interceptions, pace, stamina. Okay. Then we get the quick step playstyle plus, then we get ping and slide. And then we get anticipate. Very interesting. I mean, to be honest, I think this is actually not a bad option. As let's say you have a player that maybe already has a 2 playstyles. Like, I think the whipped playstyle is kind of redundant. If you're asking me, I don't like it. I mean, unless you're really much of a crosser, you will know yourself here. What's interesting here is, remember, you got to be careful about how you use evolution. So I think this is interesting. You get a quick step playstyle plus, and the last one you get is anticipate. So unless you have a blank canvas, again, this can't even be one that you could save for the future because most are going to be capped unless there's going to be some new cap of 4 playstyles at 3 playstyles. So unless you want to make someone like Carvajal very, very effective, you can do so. But you see, what's interesting is, before we go on to foot.gg, you want to find a player that has 1 existing playstyle. Cancelo here, you can see, gets 3. So the key is finding someone that maybe has 1 playstyle already. Let's say like Kimmich. And then you give him whipped quick step, and then you give him the anticipate. So very, very interesting, I think, this evolution. We're going to look at some of the players now on foot.gg, but maybe in an existing card that you do have, you do get that massive pace upgrade, which is kind of important. Maybe you want to consider, I don't necessarily want the whipped pass, but it might be something that I would genuinely consider doing. Even this one over here. The pace boost is what's very interesting. So this card is a CDM. Okay, interesting. So let's go over to let's go over to foot.gg, have a quick look. So we're going to head over to foot.gg now, put it on a plate, trending evolution. So we got Furman as trending right now. Again, you know what, this one, I don't even think this is a good evolution, man. I'll be honest, if you're asking me personally speaking, this put it on a plate, I think it's kind of pointless, man. I think unless you got a blank canvas, because like you're going to be forced to use your third, unless you want to anticipate on a certain play, but you don't even get that defensive upgrade boost. Like it's really annoying. So I think this is going to be very much if you want to have someone on a blank canvas, like you can see like here. Is there even a point? Okay, if you want that anticipate playstyle, so let's say you got 2 playstyles already and you want that third one to be anticipate, that is where I think this one comes in clutch. This Pavard card is still very, very good, but this is where I think this comes in clutch. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's a good evolution on its own. The only way that I would say this is a good evolution on its own is if we isolate, as I said, the evolution, and let's say we find a player, as an example, that has not one, let's say like Mead as a said example, like a better player, then you can basically stack up the player like this and maybe one for the future. But I'll be honest, this is going to be a very situational evolution. I don't think it's a good one just yet. I think a combination evolution, but because you're not getting a massive defensive stats and then a massive boost, I don't think it's worth it. Look, I agree you get technical and you get quick step playstyle plus, but that's the only one that's really worthwhile. I think for the plus 10 passing. So unless you have a player in your squad, I don't think it's worth using this evolution if you ask me personally speaking. Legacy of a Lioness is where things get a bit different. I think there's so many cards you can use. Of course, EA as usual, doing it only for cards that already exist, should I say, or that cost money. So you can buff up a card. But this one is interesting because you want to kind of upgrade a card all the way, and you only get, if the card has no playstyles, you only get 3. So this one, the first few times that maybe it's an advantage for having that one playstyle. So you can see some of these cards like Cafu has 2. So you got to be smart. So try to find a card. We've got Cafu here. We've got Da Costa. I think also the pace boost here is what's very interesting as well. So I think a card that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have used, like a Da Costa already had the pace naturally if you did him, but now you can buff him up a lot more. So I think this is really the standout evolution here. Kyle Walker, an interesting one. And of course, you need a playstyle that's not included in the ones that you would get. So Trent, for example, the Foot Birthday one, he gets 2. And don't forget, you can play CDM as well. So a lot of these cards are actually worthwhile. I think a lot of these would depend on who you'd really want. I think, of course, for a defender, I mean, look, technically you can play a player in CDM or CAM. It's anyone really that's available. So you've got a few CDMs. You've got Trent. We've got Rico Lewis as well. What card is that? The Shadow Showdown? What the hell it's called? That is a very showdown card. So I don't think many people have that card. But yeah, this is where I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting in combinations. What you could consider as well, the first play style that you get for this one. What's the first play style that you get? But let's go down to just like a Lioness. Just like let's see the other one. Get the whipped pass first. Not the best, but it is what it is. Anyway, that's the Evos. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. There wasn't. I think the Legacy of Lioness is an interesting one, but I don't think it's not that much apart from that. Anyway, peace out. Catch you next time.